Hello YouTube, Shadow Hero 90 here. This is a new series I'm going to be doing called Sexism in Movies and TV. You see, the reason I do this is not because there's just sexism in the shows that I watch, but a lot of fictional characters kids see as role models and want to grow up to be like them. And although I don't really have a list of actual jerks, well, every boy needs a good role model. And this is really more of a list of fictional jerks that, without a good role model, well, a lot of young boys could grow up to be just like. And since we don't want any of, well, not just American youth, but the children of any country or gender to grow up to be like, well, real live versions of the jerks on that list, that's why I'm doing this series and essentially pointing out double standards, hypocrisy, and how many TV shows and movies have degenerated into piles of misandric garbage. Note, I do like certain shows. I like most of the shows on this list, and it's not so much as a criticism. Well, it kind of is, but there are parts where these shows need to be improved. As you can see, now that I've done The Simpsons, I'm going to tackle Family Guy. More specifically, the episode I Am Peter, Hear Me Roar. This episode starts off with Lois basically making a comment after seeing a commercial that women don't drink beer, which, coming from the fact that, well, it wasn't hypocritical then, but it is now, that after they did the episode where she was in a porno, and the fact that women do drink beer, Women drink every type of alcohol that men do, and they do some of the same amount of stupid things men do while intoxicated. In this case, Lois is just a dumbass hypocrite. Okay, now we all know what this episode is infamous for. Well, not infamous, but in a just world it would be. So you know that Peter, at this point in the episode, is gotten drunk at a comedy club, and because he made it look like he peed himself, people think, well, he thinks he's a comedian. In fact, they probably should have just took this premise and used it for the actual plot instead of giving us the bigoted feminazi one we got. Like, Peter tries to be a stand-up comedian after this night. But nope, instead what we get is... And then Peter makes this sexist joke that basically offends this pig here into basically suing the company. And as rare as this... Well, okay. Sarah Bennett is suing the company and her lawyer is Gloria Ironbox. Okay, now, as rare as it is that I would agree with Peter, in his defense, all he did was tell a joke. That was not sexual harassment. It was not... He didn't grope her. He didn't say he wanted to have sex with her. All he did was tell a joke. By that logic... well, I know that this is a cartoon and it's supposed to be over the top, but one of the main problems in this case is that both Sarah Bennett and Gloria Ironbox go through this entire episode and do not face any consequences. This could really be improved. I mean, if you look at what they do to Peter... Okay, number one, they make him take a sensitivity training course because he told a joke. And when you get the look on Ironbox's face, because she probably knows he's gonna fail or plans to torture him at it, and Mr. Weed will fire Peter if he fails or doesn't take it. But just take that look on that. Look at her face. It's so sadistic and happy. Like she plans to rape Peter at the sensitivity course. And of course he fails. So instead of firing Peter, which basically Peter eventually does lose this job, so that's kind of null and void, she makes him go to an even worse version of that course, in which they physically torture him, and shit knows what else they might have done to him. And two, like Lois said, are you insane? Yes, they tortured him to the point of insanity. So, and basically they tortured him to the point of insanity, to the point where he literally thought till the point where Peter lost his mind and started deluding himself that he was a woman. We don't see what happens, but I'm pretty sure it was awful. I know Peter... I've seen a lot... I've seen almost every episode of this show, and I can safely say, as someone who discovered it on Adult Swim in 2003, Peter can be a jerk. But taking him to this extremes of losing his mind and thinking he's a woman, that probably took a very deep and demented level of torture, like you saw before with the tree, to basically make it so he has to lose his mind and believe he's a woman in order to survive. Peter continues to act like a woman in his state of insanity to the point where he loses all interest in Lois. That would be number 3 on this list because, yeah, feminism is crap, and I could definitely see something like this in real life, where a feminist group hates some alpha male or macho dude bro and decide that it would be okay for them to torture him to the point of insanity. And before any of you in the comments section tell me that not all feminists are like that, I'm just gonna say I've seen the worst of them. And when the chips are down, if the chips ever are down with feminism, they would be more than happy to drive a man to suicide. Whether it's making him think he's a woman or basically just go insane. You know what I mean. So, Quagmire and Cleveland take Peter to the Million Man March, and basically where then Peter tells them off because he, like I said before, he literally has lost his mind. And they give him basically the angry mob treatment. I can't believe they didn't, since this is a cartoon and it's so, well, you know, over the top, I can't believe they don't have pitchforks and torches. Even though Peter doesn't deserve it, I'm sure his tormentor, Gloria Ironbox, sure does. Okay, and now we come full circle to the climax. You know, the climax where basically Peter drags Lois to a feminazi rally, and Gloria Ironbox tells her off, and basically when she insults Meg, Chris, and Stewie, Lois pounds the ever-living tar out of her, which basically gets Peter back to normal. You see, the actual problem with this is that Gloria Ironbox and Sarah Bennett, the woman from before, literally get through this entire episode without facing any consequences that weren't really too harsh, because for anyone who's seen the episode, well, you know that after Peter's turned on and Gloria runs away like the chicken she is, Peter and Lois, well, you know what they do, but they basically, Peter's normal. Now, here's a good way that you could have fixed this damage. Bring back Gloria Ironbox and Sarah Bennett and basically have Peter sue them for torturing him to the point of insanity over a workplace dispute that ended, well, basically in a way that didn't matter because Mr. Weed died in, like, season 3. So, yeah, bring them back in a legal dispute over that, and basically have the judge sentence this one and the woman who hired her to repay their debt to Peter in, like, something that's both humiliating and objectifying. Like making them work as strippers for an episode and give Peter all the money they made. Another way Hollywood could clean up their act on this is to basically do this exact premise but with the genders reversed. Kind of have a woman either sexually harass a man, rape a man, or just get married because the guy's rich. I mean, come on. In the last season of this show, they actually talked about the rich guy fetish. Something that does exist. Always hinted at in the past, but Family Guy was the only one bold enough to play it up. And basically send her to like a seminar. Basically, that's men's rights, and they torture her into thinking she's a man by putting something up her, I'm not going to say it, because kids could be watching, and basically they drive her to the point of madness and make this woman who objectifies men through either sexuality or monetary means, or what she could get, what he could buy her. You know what I'm getting at. Basically, take the plot of Peter Hear Me Roar, make it a men's rights thing instead of a feminist thing, and do a complete gender swap and drive a woman crazy to the point where she thinks she's a man. And what happens there is basically the fuel for her psychosis, which she has to do in order to survive.